Eckler in the backfield. Trying for two. Got it! They've got the lead! It's the tight end, Jared Everett!
What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So yes, as you saw right there from that highlight, the Chargers went for two really late in the game. Pretty much almost no time left, and they were able to convert. Got the W on the road in Arizona. And I pretty much stopped watching after the first little bit because they were just struggling. Chargers were in the beginning and didn't really make any effort as usual, especially on the road. So I thought this might be another loss and all this stuff, but luckily they were able to pull out this victory. We were able to see through those highlights. They ended up winning 25-24, so not a bad victory overall. Just hoping for some, easier wins. Nothing as close as it is, but I'm sure this adds another close victory or fourth quarter comeback or, within one score possession for Justin Herbert's career. Another game, another win. So hopefully can stack up a couple more of these to get into the playoffs, because right now they are on the outside looking in. They aren't in the last three spots outside of the division winners, so hopefully a couple more wins here and there get them. But they do have a couple of tough teams, Miami coming up, Tennessee as well, so we will see. But yes, definitely looking all right so far this week. And then USC's best defender, Tuli Pelotu. He was also named last week to a lot finalist award as well. I forget, I think it was going out to the best player who did not only well academically and on the field, but also in the community and all that stuff as well. So pretty cool. He's still getting recognized for other big stuff. And obviously Ronnie Lott, an ex-USC guy, he's that good. You have a award named after you, which is pretty cool to have another USC guy in the running to at least hopefully win it as well. So sending good luck for him that he is a winner of that award soon. And then yes, right before that Chargers game, they did officially sign that kicker Cameron Dicker for at least the rest of the season, because they ended up putting their main kicker Dustin Hopkins on injured reserve. So he's going to be out at least another 3 weeks after this. But I guess when it came to his injury, his thigh or hamstring injury, it just wasn't responding well apparently in practice. So now they decided to give him more of a rest to not put any strain on that, which is good. So they signed this guy who did pretty okay. He made at least one kick yesterday and 2 of his PATs, so it wasn't that bad. And then yes, the Anaheim Ducks ended up getting a victory against the New York Rangers. It's really hasn't been many victories for the Ducks this year, sadly, but they did get that victory 3-2. So hopefully they can string up a little more victories. But yes, like I said, it hasn't been much to talk about for the Ducks because they are not winning, sadly. Hopefully they can turn it around. And then the other day, and I believe a loss last week to the Phoenix Suns, Anthony Davis pretty much had one of the craziest stat games ever, because I believe he was the only player in NBA history to have this stat line, which was 35 points, 20 rebounds, 5 blocks, and 5 steals as well, which is pretty crazy that nobody in the NBA has ever done it. You would think Wilt Chamberlain or Oscar Robertson, someone like that, would have it played a while ago. But yeah, it was great that, yeah, he did it in a Lakers jersey, but sadly they did lose that game on the road. But luckily, they did get back into the winning ways. I'll get into that a little bit later in the video. But yes, congrats on the big game. It does suck. It came in a loss. And speaking of those games, yes, they had to go on the road to face the Spurs. And it was kind of weird that they were playing back-to-back games. And not only weird that it was Friday, Saturday, but it was also weird that it was the same team. Sometimes I've seen this last year where they would play, like, say, Denver and LA, and then the next day they would play Denver on the road. But it was kind of weird that the scheduling came out like that. We're back to back in the same city. It was kind of weird. But they were able to get those victories, luckily. The first game, the Lakers ended up winning 105-94, and in that game, LeBron finally returned. He had a pretty nice stat line. He had 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. Anthony Davis played well also, so that was good to see. And then their next game, ended up getting the victory 143 to 138, which is pretty crazy how many points was scored in that game. It's awesome that the Lakers scored 143, but to give up 138 is pretty bad as well, especially against a bad team who's looking to tank and get a really good player in next year's NBA draft. So yes, at least they did get the victory, and LeBron went off too. He had 39 points, also had 11 rebounds and 7 threes in that game. But yeah, overall, which I think AD was actually out of that game as well, the second one. Probably because it was a back-to-back. I think he had a calf strain, but they are playing tonight against the Indiana Pacers, which should be a victory, even though they're kind of an up-and-coming team, young team. But AD should be back for that game as well tonight. So as long as those two are together on the same court, Lakers should be fine. And it also might be a preview of a big trade that might happen within the next couple months, because guys who are linked to the Lakers and Buddy Hield and Miles Turner are over there on Indiana's side. So we'll see what they could do against the Lakers tonight. And if they pull off an upset, might as well get them on the team now before anyone else decides to trade for them. So yeah, overall it was a bad loss in the middle of the week last week, but not two nice victories to start off the weekend. It's pretty good. And then a Bleacher Report article came out stating that they believe that the head coach Brandon Staley of the Chargers would be on the hot seat if the Chargers were to miss the playoffs this year. And I guess I can understand that, just because they spent so much money in free agency, and yes, you can do that because Justin Herbert's on a rookie contract as of right now, but pretty much all those guys that they did sign, and a lot of their guys that they've had on the team for a bit, a lot of their main stars got hurt and have been hurt. A lot of them are out for the year. A lot of them have been out since like the early part of the season, and they still have not even returned. And yet somehow they still have this above 500 or right at 500 record. So to me, it's like, yeah, it's been a good enough season so far for the hand they've been dealt injury wise, as the Chargers always are. But yeah, it is kind of crazy to think he would be on the hot seat after 2 years. But as I keep mentioning here in these videos, that a lot more articles are coming out that Sean Payton, the ex-New Orleans coach, is still connected with a lot of teams, but he is mostly closely connected with the LA Chargers to be the next head coach if they were to make a move like that with Staley. So, I don't know. If you're going to get rid of Staley after 2 years, then you have to get rid of the general manager as well. If you're going to bring in Sean Payton, no matter what, the GM obviously has to agree to that, but it's really going to be Sean Payton's team if he is as the head coach anyway. So, I don't know. I just don't like Tom Telesco. He's been letting me down ever since I became a fan of the Chargers in the mid-2000s, and yeah, has not been good, as they say. But yeah, USC basketball, we're down there in the Bahamas playing in that whatever Atlantis tournament that they call it, and they were able to get that first victory against BYU. It's a pretty close game, but they were able to get it 82-76. They leaned on Drew Peterson again, so that was good, but they might have to change it up because the next couple of games they did lose. They lost to Tennessee in the next round, who's a really good team and highly ranked team. It did suck because they had a chance because they were leading late, but let that go. And then in the very next game, like a consolation game, you played the loser of the other game, which was Wisconsin, and they still ended up losing that game. I didn't get the scores, but they still lost by a couple points, and it just sucks because I believe in that game as well, they were leading pretty late in the game, and then it was another second half meltdown. And it's not the NBA. College basketball only has 2 halves. But yes, it was a late second half meltdown, which sucked, but hopefully they can get better. I know they get another game this Wednesday. I believe it's against Cal, so it could be the first Pac-12 game, so it could be pretty important as long as they get this victory to start off in the Pac-12 division as 1-0 instead of 0-1. So good luck to those guys on Wednesday. Then yes, my ex-favorite Duke player, Grayson Allen, the Milwaukee Bucks went off last night. He had 25 points and also hit 7 threes, which tied his career high of that same number at 7. It was nice, but there was a weird stat. Even before halftime, he had like 22 points, so he didn't really score that much. In the second half, they were probably beating the team by a lot. He didn't play a lot, but I believe he still had not missed at that time, so I think he tied a record in NBA history where someone else had that same stat of 7 for 7 on threes before halftime. I don't know who that player was, but yes, he did tie them, and he only missed a couple more shots after that, but still had 0 turnovers as a guard, so that was really good for his plus minus on the court. So it's looking really good, and the Lakers had a chance. They could have made a trade for him because stupidly somehow Memphis let him go. I don't know why they did that, but he's now on an even better team and had a chance to win a title the other year, so it's pretty crazy. So good luck to him. And yes, speaking of Duke, yes, they had a couple of nice games here and there. They had a game right before they went out to Oregon to play in that PK 80 or whatever they call it tournament. I believe it was against Bellarmine. I don't know how you say that name of that school, but they aren't that well known of a school. They're less than a mid-major. But even throughout that first half, Duke kind of struggled a little bit, but they were able to get that victory 74-52 eventually. 52 or 57, I don't know. I have chicken scratch right here. But yes, they eventually went on to the PK 80 tournaments in Oregon. Had to face Illinois in the first round, and they barely got by that game. They barely won 54-51, even though Kyle Filipowski, the freshman, had a really good game. So in their next game, they ended up having to play Xavier, who's a bit more well-known school, especially during March in the tournament. They do make some nice runs to the Sweet 16, but Duke was able to get that victory 71-64, and luckily in part because Jeremy Roach, the point guard, went off. He had 20 plus points, and they were able to get that victory pretty easily down the stretch. That was nice to see, but they ended up getting Saturday off and playing Sunday. It was kind of weird that the main championship game for that tournament was played midday, like around 12 or 12:30, but then the third place game was played after that. So it's kind of weird how it wasn't more in the spotlight, I guess, but it might have affected Duke because they ended up losing to Purdue 75-56, and it was pretty much around that point total mostly during the second half. It was kind of hard to watch, so I kept going back and forth. But yeah, it was a tough thing to see just because Zach Edey of Purdue, he's a really big, tall 7-footer, and he was just doing anything and everything he wanted down there in the paint, which sucked, but you know, they deserved that victory. But hopefully they can learn from it. I know John Shire had a nice talk and press conference right after they lost to Kansas earlier a couple weeks ago, and they did pretty well, so hopefully they will be able to continue. But they do play, I believe, Wednesday as well, the start of the ACC/Big Ten challenge against Ohio State, so it is another quality opponent, and I think they play Iowa pretty soon as well, so that's another good game from the Big Ten. But speaking of USC and what they did, you know, they were playing Notre Dame this weekend, but actually some people were reminded today that it is actually the 1-year anniversary of the breaking news of when the head coach Lincoln Riley decided to leave Oklahoma and come to USC to become their head coach, which was pretty crazy because he had just lost a chance to go into the Final Four with his team, and you know, it was kind of weird and abrupt and all of a sudden. But to think that USC, my team, was able to get one of the better head coaches out there in college football and one of the better offensive minds of all time in college football. It was definitely a very exciting idea, even though there was going to be a whole long process, and even I was willing to wait another year or two in case if they were going to start off a little bit rocky, just because you never knew if a lot of transfers would work and a lot of guys were going to be leaving the school that have been on the team the past couple years because they weren't willing to put in the work and effort it would take to get to where they are. But As a result, they are 10-1. And to speak of this, so they are, and in the AP poll, they are at number 4, which they are supposedly headed in this poll, but when the college football playoff comes out on Tuesday, it's the more official one. So we'll see if they are number 4 there as well, because the number 2 team did lose in Ohio State, but let's see if they believe Ohio State has a better record or not. I believe not, just because of what USC has been, who they have been beating lately, and then they get another matchup with someone pretty soon. They actually do get, I'll get into who they beat. So obviously they beat Notre Dame 38-27. It's a very nice game to enjoy on my second Thanksgiving celebration last week with my mom's side. It was pretty cool. USC was able to show out in front of people that I love, so at least I wasn't too embarrassed. But yes, definitely very happy they get that victory, and it pretty much made Caleb Williams the front runner, obviously, for the Heisman. He was pretty much top 2, top 3, if that, and he had a way better game than the guy at Ohio State, CJ Stroud, who lost to his rival in Michigan, and Caleb Williams just showed out, had a really good game. I don't think he threw for as much as he has been, but he did have he accounted for either 4 or 5 touchdowns, something like that, and made a lot of the big plays down the stretch for them to be able to get that victory. And of course, USC is pretty much thankful that they did get this scenario where Oregon did lose early in the day and something else happened with Washington or something like that. So now USC gets to have a rematch against Utah, who is the only team that has beat them this year, early in the year, 43-42 on that 2-point conversion that they lost to. And they get to play them in the Pac-12 championship in Las Vegas this Friday night. So hopefully USC, I don't think they need any more reason to want to beat this team or any more juice to get going. This is definitely a revenge tour, obviously, because last year they lost to both UCLA and Notre Dame. They beat them the past 2 weeks, and then of course you get the only team that's beating you this year as your last game as a next stepping point to get into the Final Four, which in my mind they are a year or 2 ahead of pace than what I was thinking. But if they could do that in Lincoln Riley's first year, it'd be pretty freaking awesome and amazing and just really great to be a part of it so far. I don't expect them to win the national championship if they get there. It would just depend on their seeding. If they move up all the way up to 3, it could be a lot easier because they could be playing an even easier team. But if you have to play Georgia in that first round, it would be really tough. And then I don't know if they would somehow beat Georgia in that game, if they would have enough power to come off that great high, as they say, and be able to win that national championship the week after. But overall, definitely looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. I just can't wait. Hopefully I'm not let down too hard. If I can take them losing to Utah, if they, at least put up a nice effort and fight for it, as they say, fight on. But if they just get blown out or don't show up, it's going to be hard to handle me for the next couple of weeks. But it does mean that USC does most likely end up playing in the Rose Bowl at some point because Utah then would play in the Pac-12 because they're not going to the Final Four, so they would most likely represent the Pac-12 in the Rose Bowl. But they will play in a nice bowl game at the end of the season, just not where they should be. So yes, hoping for the best and definitely enjoying this ride so far. So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Fight on.